like, oh, this guy's just like everybody else, just hating on AEW for the clicks. I promise you, I am not doing that. Today, you'll get my AEW All In predictions, plus last night's review of AEW Dynamite. And boys and gals, it finally happened. An AEW Dynamite that I just flat out did not like. In a bubble, it was a fine wrestling show. However, being that it was the go-home show to the biggest pay-per-view of the year, oh man, it was a letdown. It was a letdown. Now, I still think AEW All In's going to be a banger of a show, and I do also understand that a lot of you sickos have had bad experiences with YouTubers who are only going to trash the product just to get views, just to hate watch AEW. I promise that is not me. I'm going to tell you how I feel. Go back on my channel for the past 3 months, every Thursday. I've been pretty much positive when it comes to AEW. But today, the Dynamite section, I'm going to be a little on the more negative side. But you know what? Whatever. So, there was a bad show. If this episode had happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, it probably would have been fine. So let's just get into it. I've been told over and over again by everybody that the One-Winged Angel is the end-all be-all move. And last week, I saw Kenny Omega give that to Will Ospreay outside the ring through a table, and then I see Will Ospreay completely fine and dandy tonight on Dynamite. And who's not here tonight? Kenny Omega. Where's Kenny Omega? I said a couple weeks ago jokingly that he's doing his Roman Reigns impression and just staying off TV as much as possible after winning the title. And well, he's actually doing a better Roman than Roman. Roman would at least show up for the go-home show. I was shocked that Kenny wasn't here tonight. Now, I do appreciate the package at the end showcasing their history, but that was not the same. They should have done last week as the go-home show, because I was so pumped and interested in everything going on last week. Tonight didn't get me interested at all. Now, it didn't really decrease my interest, but it was I was just like, what? No Kenny Omega on the show before the biggest event of the year? I was like, wow. And then the main event itself, I'm a big Swerve Strickland fan. I'm actually becoming a Jack Perry fan as well. The last 3 times I've seen the guy, I was like, yeah, I kind of like him. But for that to be the final match before All In, I was left scratching my head. I kept waiting for Adam Page. Adam Page was going to come out and do something because they've been flirting with each other with the trios titles, and I know that's a Batman Joker type of relationship, so I was just waiting. Nothing. Swerve just won a match against Jack Perry. Why was this the final match? I would have understood the Niles McGuinness, or I always get that guy's name wrong. I'm sorry. Whoever that guy was versus not Kyle Fletcher. Oh man. Heck, you could have had Niles McGuinness versus Kyle O'Reilly as the last match, because at least then it would have some stakes going into the PLE pay-per-view, or Claudio and Jon Moxley. And those matches were fine. I had no problems with them. I really enjoyed Moxley and Claudio. It was a throwback match for me, and I love Claudio. I don't get to see him wrestle enough. The Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné, I don't really have too much of an opinion there. I feel like, again, last week's stuff was just so peak that what we did tonight was kind of a letdown. I understand that maybe Willow has a legit injury, and that really does suck. I hope they can finish. I hope they can get their story told on the grandest stage. Takesha, Okada, and Kyle Fletcher stuff is leaving my head scratching. I understand. I've had multiple people tell me over and over again, Takesha is in the G1 Classic, but I heard it was done. And so I was expecting something tonight. I also heard, I've had people kind of look down on me even, saying, imagine not thinking Takesha, Okada, and Kyle Fletcher doesn't have a storyline. I've had multiple people say that. They'd say things like, tell me you're a WWE fan without telling me you're a WWE fan, when I say things like, where's Takesha? Why isn't there any story here? And they're like, I get it. I get it. Maybe there was an amazing story being told from January to June. But when I jumped on at Double or Nothing, there hasn't really been much here, with the exception of Kyle Fletcher being scared that Okada is going to take the title from him when they should be on the same team. And then Okada saying things like, oh, but as long as it stays in the family. They've been doing this for like a month now, maybe 2. I can't even remember. And then Takeshita just randomly attacked. So, like, nothing really tonight got me pumped. The best thing that happened was when MJF was like, you know, I could be Andrade. I just got to take a picture with a pretty lady. And in America, this is a 4, but in Scotland, I guess this is a 10. And then he also called Scotland Ireland. So, like, oh, gosh. MJF is definitely by far, like, he is just so good. He is just so good. But yeah, you know, Maya World and the Brawling Birds versus Divine Dominion and Persephone. And Persephone got the pin. So, and then there was a brawl. So, yeah, Christian Cage is hilarious. Love Christian. Love Christian when it teamed up with the Young Bucks. Love that he came out and he made Edge side with him and get into a fight. I love how toxic Christian is. He is such a horrible person, and I love it. I love it. And so, yeah, this Dynamite, just swing and a miss. That's okay. There's 52 Dynamites a year. You're allowed to miss every once in a while. All right, so now let's do our all-in predictions, because I do feel that this will still be a good, great show. AEW always shows up for their PLEs, pay-per-views. So let's start off with the Trios belt. We got Bandino, Adam Page, and Brody King. Kind of an open challenge, meet at high noon, and I love that because they're all cowboys, so I love that kind of going off their gimmick without making it too cheesy, and anybody can show up. I bet we get Ricochet and his crew. I can see the Bang Bang crew happening. This is probably going to be the match that gets a lot of people who just couldn't get a feud but deserve to be on the card, still on the card. Like, maybe the Hurt Syndicate? Are they still a thing? But the big one is Swerve Strickland. Swerve literally came out like a week or 2 ago, got punked out by Ricochet, and he was like, it's you versus 9 people who hate you. So, I'm thinking Swerve is going to go get the New Day. This would be a great place to introduce them. Rumor has it that a lot of people were pushing for the New Day to come. I think this would be a great spot, and get them right in the mix. I could see Swerve and the New Day winning even. So my prediction, Swerve, New Day, they somehow win. Probably pin Ricochet even, if this is a anybody can get pinned, you lose the title type of situation. All right, so now let's do the 2-man tag team titles, and that would be Edge and Christian defending against the Young Bucks. And I think the Young Bucks are going to take him. I don't see why not. Like, what good does it really do Edge and Christian to hold on to the titles? And, I mean, that argument could be made for the Young Bucks as well. And maybe if the Young Bucks can beat Edge and Christian, then maybe Edge can finally turn heel. Because right now it's Christian the heel and Edge the babyface, which is kind of cool. But if the Young Bucks lose, then there's no real character development on Edge and Christian's side. But if they win, then maybe Edge could completely crash out. Maybe then, and then we could get a total evil Edge with a total evil Christian. Wouldn't mind that. So I'm going Young Bucks. I could see them losing too. But because at this point in their careers, I don't think either team really needs these belts. But that said, 4-time champions for the Young Bucks. We get some character development over there with Edge. Yeah, Young Bucks, they're taking it. Side note, one of my favorite things that has been recently said was there was some kind of segment where the Young Bucks were like, you guys are old enough to be my dad. And then Christian was like, how do you know I'm not? And then walked away. Oh, Christian. Never change, my friend. Never change. Now let's do the 2 women tag team titles, and that's the Brawling Birds versus Divine Dominion. I am not too invested in this matchup. Maybe a lot of their stuff and angles have happened on Collision, and I don't really watch Collision, but I haven't seen much to get me hyped about this. I've seen both of them at bars kind of talking smack about each other, but I'm thinking the Brawling Birds. Brawling Birds, they are in London, and from what I gather, this is a very stereotypical English tag team, the Brawling Birds. So yeah, let's give the hometown heroes a championship run. Plus Divine Dominion, from everything I heard, they've had a long title reign. Their tag team title reign is probably at its natural end. The AEW Continental Classic. I've actually really enjoyed myself throughout this tournament. At first I thought it was just a tournament because they didn't have storyline ideas, but no, this is actually how I feel you should do tournaments. Now, WWE has been very much guilty of, yeah, let's just kill TV time and make a tournament, and that will be the story. But no, this is how you do a wrestling tournament, because there have been stories within the grander story of who's going to win the Continental Classic, trophy, whatever it is. And I also like the fact that Jon Moxley has been defending the title every single time. But if he had lost the title, it would have became vacant. So I really liked this Continental Classic and all those little stories that were a part of it. Now, I did say that I thought the Brawling Birds were going to win because they were the hometown heroes. Well, you got Nigel McGuinness, also a hometown hero here, but I don't think he's going to win. I don't really have too much of a connection with Nigel, but I've heard a lot of great things about him, and I've seen some of his matches here and there, and he's a great wrestler, but it does feel like he's at the tail end of his career, so maybe Jon Moxley just, kind of puts an end to it. He probably shakes his hand, walks away, and then Nigel can ride off into the sunset. Jon Moxley tends to win these big matches that nobody expects him to win. I remember when he beat CM Punk when he was the interim champion. Definitely didn't see that happening. And then he just kept winning during his Death Rider reign. So yes, I think people expect Jon Moxley to lose so Nigel can have that big moment, but no, I think Jon's going to win, walk away, and allow Nigel to have his moment in the sun regardless. All right, so now we're going to do the Casino Gauntlet. We start off with MJF and Andrade. Then they've also announced Tommaso Ciampa, Mark Davis, and Jericho. Honestly, there's two WWE names that may have a shot at making an appearance here, because this thing can theoretically go on forever. As long as someone doesn't take the pin, you can have 1 million people in this matchup. And what if Sheamus or Ilya Dragunov appeared? Now, I really don't think Sheamus is going to be an AEW guy, but I could see Ilya Dragunov, and both their contracts might be up without the 90-day non-compete clause. So this would be a good opportunity to introduce somebody without having them needing to take a win or a pin. And I think at the end of the day, it's either going to come down between MJF or Andrade. Now, MJF would be smart money. The guy seems to be able to figure out how to win these big matches, but I'm thinking Andrade. MJF is a very giving person because he knows how to take a loss and still keep his character over. Heck, he lost his world title and he's still carrying out around a world title. It makes no sense and perfect sense at the same time that he has the Triple B title with him. So yeah, I could see him losing to Andrade and then just no-selling it the following week. Andrade could cash it in for a TV match. MJF can interfere, and then those two can go and have a proper feud while the title scene continues. But yeah, Andrade gets a big-time victory here, further propelling him up the card. And MJF, well, the guy just knows wrestling, and he knows that by building stars, he stays relevant, because that means he has new stars to keep facing, and it's not just the same old all the time. Kevin Knight versus Darby Allin in a Falls Count Anywheres match. Spoiler alert, this match is going to be insane. Like, a Darby Allin match is usually insane without these kind of stipulations. Oh, this one's tough. I could see Kevin Knight winning so that he can go back to the Don Callis family and kind of rub it in everybody's face that he's the greatest TBS champion of all time. But I could also see Darby Allin winning so Kevin Knight can go and do other things. didn't Darby Allin lose to him already? Yeah, I think Darby Allin already lost to Kevin Knight clean, so I'm going Darby Allin. I just think it's a feel good. This is WrestleMania. The good guys, you're supposed to feel good walking away from WrestleMania. The All In is their WrestleMania, so Darby Allin. Darby Allin gets the victory. Kevin Knight can then go on and do other things. Takeshita Okada and Kyle Fletcher. Takeshita. Maybe we took the title off of Takeshita because of the G1 Classic, and now that it's over, we can restart whatever Tony Khan wanted to do with him in the first place. And then Kyle Fletcher can be upset that he lost the title. Okada could be like, yeah, well, you're a loser. Maybe those two can even feud without the title at all. But then again, it's either going to be Okada or Takeshita. I'm iffy. It's like a coin toss. I'm going to go with Takeshita, though. I think that his title reign was a little too short, so let's give him a longer reign where he can actually spend the majority of his time in AEW now. Now, granted, if he has to go back to Japan and fill more obligations, then I'd go with Okada. But for right now, based on what I do know, and it's not much, I'm saying Takeshita so we can continue the title reign that didn't really get a proper start last time. But yeah, and then Okada and Kyle, they still kind of feud on their own. Now we go Mercedes Moné and Willow Nightingale. I don't know if Willow Nightingale, her hand is hurt or not. I know in kayfabe it is, but I'm not sure if it really happened, so they're making it part of the story. But this match is happening. I was going to pick Mercedes Moné regardless, but if Willow is really injured, then for sure Mercedes Moné. But I do have a question mark on it because Willow just won, and I feel there's more story if Willow wins again because just allows Mercedes Moné to crash out even further. This is the one person that she can't beat. For whatever reason, she cannot beat her. And Mercedes Moné, didn't she win? She won at the go-home show, so that kind of wrestling trope 101 in WWE at least is if you win on the go-home show, you're going to lose at the PLE. But AEW is different. So, I'm still going Mercedes Moné. I think she's been in AEW long enough, and it's time to just give her the belt. But Willow Nightingale just won the title. I don't know. This is a tough one. This is definitely a tough one, but coin toss, I'm 51% Mercedes Moné, 49% Willow Nightingale, so Mercedes Moné. And now we do Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, the main event. Smart money's on Will Ospreay, and that's who I'm picking as well. Now, personally speaking, I fell in love with Kenny Omega 2 weeks ago when he became the cleaner, I guess. People said, you've now been introduced to the cleaner, and I'm like, hello, Mr. Cleaner. Nice to meet you. That Kenny Omega's insane in all the good ways, and I wouldn't mind. I personally wouldn't mind if he retained. But he's not gonna. I think everything leads and points to a Will Ospreay victory here. And it's going to be a good, feel-good moment. It really is. But I just kind of want the cleaner. I want to see more of the cleaner with the belt. I just really hope that the cleaner sticks around and he didn't just appear for the Wembley Stadium main event. But I'm afraid they'll just become good guys again after it's all said and done. But whatever happens after Sunday, happens after Sunday. We're talking All In right now. And my pick, Will Ospreay, your next AEW champion. All right, those are your predictions for AEW All In and my review of Dynamite. Hopefully I still have some sicko fans out there, and y'all didn't unsubscribe. This guy's just like everybody else, just hating on AEW for the clicks. I promise you, I am not doing that. Overall, still enjoying the product. We're allowed to have a bad week here and there. I know I have. All right, see ya, bye.